This video may contain adult language and situations. Viewer discretion is strongly advised. What is up, my dudes? It's the Reddit Fairy. I am back, finally, with another video. Wasn't feeling too good the last little while, so I kind of took a little bit of a break. But I am back, and today I've got for you some r/malicious compliance. That's right, you guys spoke up, I listened, so I'm gonna get right into it. This first story's called, "You Interrupt Me to Demand More Cream Cheese Icing?" Alright then. Posted by user CamisCanDo. Alright, this is one of my favorite stories from a grocery store bakery I worked in for a little over 5 years. I had worked for the grocery store for 7+ years total. I have some great stories that I'll post in other subreddits, but for now, please enjoy this gem. To clarify, everything in the donut case was referred to as donuts. Yes, even the cinnamon rolls. I rolled with it at work. The icing comes from a bucket labeled cream cheese icing. I haven't worked here for almost a year now, so unless something changed, this is still the case. Some context about the lady in this story. She's a regular customer, older, probably in her 50s. She didn't stop by the bakery too much, but I knew her because she was always really entitled and nasty. She would either A, demand me to check if we had more cinnamon rolls in back, or B, demand more cream cheese icing on top. She always came to me and never bothered to ask anyone else, probably because I was one of the youngest workers in the department at that time. Fast forward to about 2 p.m. on Mother's Day, and the workflow was pretty steady. I hadn't experienced any drama up until the lady walked in. I was the only one working with a customer at this point, writing on a cake for him, with all my other coworkers standing around the gourmet case, a glass case with a lot of bakery goods in it. I just hear, excuse me? I need some help." I look up and ask someone to help her. The lady was clearly offended. No. I want you to help me. You're not doing anything." I replied after making eye contact with the guy I was helping. "I'm with a customer. I'll be with you in just a moment." She just couldn't handle no for an answer, and she raised her voice some more. "I want more cream cheese on my donut right now." We had single-serve containers for the donuts if people didn't want them in a plastic bag, so there's quite a lot of room up towards the lid. Usually she wanted a lot, and I mean a lot of cream cheese. I put a little extra on just so I could hear her say, "No, that's unacceptable. I want much more than that." She was pissed, and quite frankly, so was I. I slathered on a grotesque amount of icing on the cinnamon roll. It was disgusting to think that she would probably eat the whole damn thing too. I handed her the container, barely being able to see the cinnamon roll. She huffed and walked away. Next time I saw her, probably a few weeks later, she was looking at the donuts in the donut case, and I asked, "Do you want more cream cheese icing for your donut?" And she frowned and said, "No, I can't handle the icing anymore." Victory. I never saw her again after that point. TLDR, entitled shitty customer yells at me while I was helping another customer. She wants more icing on her donut. I don't hold back. She comes back one more time, then never again. Edit 1. Everything in the donut case, yes, even the cinnamon rolls, were referred to as donuts for the sake of ease. I know they're not the same thing, trust me, but I wanted to clarify. Edit 2. Wow, thank you so much for the gold. Edit 3. Explicitly wrote donut/cinnamon roll as being used interchangeably, as it was at work, even by the customers, plus clarified that the icing comes from a bucket called cream cheese icing. I wonder if you gave her the diabetes. Oh my god. Shirt and tie required for class? As you request. Posted by user Mustang-Marty. While I was attending a local community college, I worked the graveyard shift at a software duplication company as a tech. As this gig was primarily a manufacturing environment, high-speed copying of floppy disks, the dress code was t-shirt and jeans. My first class was 1 hour after the end of my shift. As this was the start of rush hour, it gave me little time to make drive from work to school. I usually arrived about 5 minutes before class. The syllabus for class stated that students wear slacks, dress shirt, and tie to class. The instructor felt that since we would be working in the computer tech field, that we needed to get used to wearing this attire every day. With my work schedule, this proved nearly impossible to be on time for class, and the last thing I needed to be wearing at work was a dress shirt. I opted for a nice polo shirt that could quickly be put on while parked at school. After a couple of weeks, my instructor called me out for not wearing a shirt and tie. I tried to explain that I didn't have time to change before class and also noted that I already worked in the field and wasn't required to dress up for work. Not good enough, so he demanded that I arrive the following Monday wearing a shirt and tie. Shirt and tie? Nothing was stated as to what shirt and tie. My then girlfriend and I decided to go shopping. This was back in 1989, so neon and pastels were still in fashion. It was also the age of the power tie. Let's combine those styles. Yellow neon dress shirt, red power tie for Monday. Neon pink shirt with lime green skinny tie for Tuesday. Red shirt with orange tie on Wednesday. You get the picture. I walked into class with a different shirt/tie combination every day for 2 weeks. I finally called up to his desk after class to discuss my style choices. Since his dress code could not be used part of my grade, he relented and I was able to wear my collared polo shirts to class from that point forward. I ended up with the second highest grade in the class, so he couldn't complain about my abilities. In my 30 years in IT, only one job that I held for a year required a tie. Okay, being as somebody that works in IT, I think this is the dumbest shit ever. That you would have to wear a dress shirt and tie to work on computers. No, unless you're going to visit somebody on their site to fix something, then I could see why they would want you to look a little bit professional. But if you're sitting in a cubby at your, in an office surrounded by other cubbies and you never ever see the customer, come on, t-shirt and jeans is the only way to go. The third story is called Dismissive? I'm not going to beg you to give me work to do. Posted by user, Hey, I'm Jason. This was a lot of years ago, but when I was a teenager. I'd just gotten a job at a huge retail chain. From the start, it was a shit show. Paperwork had to be redone, nobody knew correct starting dates, etc. They eventually had me do orientation, then told me to just come in on Monday and ask for a manager. Okay, I put on my stupid little vest and go to work. I clock in. I walk up to the first manager I see and say, I'm new, and ask where I should go. She's busy talking to a friend and says she'll find out where I'm supposed to be. So I stand there. She walks off and I figure she's going to the office to check on things. I stand there for 2 hours. I finally see her walking by again, so I step forward and open my mouth to speak, but before I can get a word out, she says, Not now, and briskly walks by me. Okay. I stand there for another hour. I don't care, I'm on the clock. I eventually see her pulling a large cart full of items. No clue what she was actually up to. So again, I ask her what I should do. She snaps her head my way, gives me a super angry stare, and quickly says, Look, you're not a kid. Find something to do. Then continues on her merry way. Mind you, even as a teenager, I wasn't the type to be talked down to for no good reason. I shrug and make my way out to the parking lot to head to my car, because I was already done with that job. But as I stepped out of the double doors and into the boiling summer heat, it dawned on me that I had a unique opportunity here. I already didn't want the job any longer, and I was told to find something to do, though I had no clue where anything was or what actually needed to be done. So I went back into the air conditioning megastore and started pacing the aisles. For the rest of my shift, I walked through every single aisle and made a very detailed shopping list of things I'd need for my first apartment. I finished my shift and clocked out. The next morning, I clocked in, shrugged, and started pacing again. This time, I made a huge list of foods to try and copied down lots of recipes from boxes. I also made a wish list of cool stuff from the toys and electronics section: lava lamps, black lights, etc. Halfway through the shift, the angry manager lady from the day before sees me purchase a candy bar, then marches up to me to ask if I'd clocked out for my lunch break. I had no idea I even got a lunch break, and I was going to remind her that I still had no idea what I was supposed to be doing. But the conversation only went like, no, there's no buts. I understand, but no buts. And she simply turned her back to me and walks away. Fine. So if I ever actually take a lunch, I'll be sure to clock out. I go back to pacing. The next day, I've already seen every aisle several times. I now have lists for gifts ideas for friends and family. I have lists for movies and video games I want. I even have lists for shit to buy if I ever get into having fish as pets. I decided to see what's actually in the back rooms, as I've only seen the first one for orientation. Okay, mostly storage, a cool trash compactor, and a break room with piles of candy on the tables? Turns out, sometimes shit like candy comes partially opened, or customers open the bags and the company would simply inventory it as damaged and usually throw it away. But some of the cooler managers would inventory it as damaged, then toss it in the break room for whoever. Sweet. So I'm watching TV and eating free damaged candy. But it's not cable TV, and I hate daytime TV, so I only watch it for a few hours before I punch out and go home. The next week consists of me playing through almost all of the demo games on the demo PlayStation. I'm showing my age here. Now I'm just very bored. I spend my days walking around the store and eating damaged candy. I stop to bullshit with customers who have cool shirts or tattoos. If someone asks me where to find something, I try to find it with them. It's over a month in. I start counting my steps. Thousands of steps a day. It's canceling out the calories of all the damaged candy I'm still eating. I'm getting tired of candy. 2 months in, I start following people around to see how long it takes them to notice and to see if they'll say anything. They always notice, and nobody is comfortable enough to say anything. Jesus, I think. Is this serial killer shit? Is this how people become serial killers? I go back to pacing the aisles. I just hear the squeaking of cartwheels and the tap, tap, tap of my shoes on the polished floors. The fluorescent lighting doesn't feel so friendly any longer. Now it feels invasive. Pacing, pacing. I don't think people are supposed to feel this weird, this disconnected. But I also don't think people should walk around indoors for 8 hours a day while eating damaged candy the entire time. Why am I even having this conversation with myself? I suddenly feel surreal and realize there's no way that any of this is normal. So without hesitation, I clock out and never return for work. I got my final paycheck, as the rest of them, but nobody even called to see why I was missing my shifts. Was I even on a schedule? I have no idea. I found another job that actually required me to work, but that was okay. The time at the large store was just one surreal blur after the second week, but the manager told me to find stuff to do, and that's exactly what I did. TLDR, the manager couldn't be bothered to actually place me, so I walked around the store for about 10 weeks and ate damaged candy and got paid for it. So this is like a large chain? And they're this disorganized? Oh my god, I thought it was just like small, local businesses that were really poorly managed. Not naming any names. Wow, that is crazy though. Like, I would just go find somewhere to hide and just play on my phone all day or something, scroll through Reddit. The next story is called Boss Asked Me to Watch the Oven, Then Got Mad. Posted by user unknown author 42. First time posting, long time reader. Also, I know this isn't the best story. TLDR at the bottom, but this is such a short story, I'm not going to read that. Today at work, I'm a dishwasher. My boss put a couple of meat eaters in the oven and asked me to make sure that they didn't get burnt. But they were only going to be in there for a couple of minutes or so, having nothing else to do. I decided to just watch them to make sure that they didn't get burnt. Cue about a minute later when my boss snaps at me that you can't just be standing around like that, go sweep or something. So, knowing his meat eaters only had a minute or so left, I said, sure thing. Got the broom and dustpan and left the kitchen to sweep, knowing they were too busy to actually watch them. About 2 minutes later, I come back to my boss cursing and throwing out a couple of burnt meat eaters. You deserved it. Eat freaking watch your own meat eaters. Like, what the fuck? This next one's titled, You Don't Serve Breakfast After 11. Okay then. Posted by user Bloodstein. Longtime reader / listener, YouTube and Joey. First time poster. Now, this isn't some pro-level malicious compliance like you're accustomed to, but I still get pleasure out of proving a point to a mindless restaurant drone. Respect, they work bloody hard for peanuts. But if you can't think past your nose just stating the rules instead of being able to make a compromise, I will get you with this one. So this isn't a one-time malicious compliance. This happens way more than I care to count. Permit me to set the scene. It's around 12 o'clock and I'm sitting down for a meal at a restaurant, and I just so happen to love me some breakfast at any time of the day. Eggs, bacon, toast is a match made in heaven to both my wife and myself. We will literally make it for dinner, or French toast and bacon. Same ingredients, prepared / arranged differently. Important later. I sit down, the waiter comes over to inquire as to what I want. I politely ask for the breakfast I'd like. Nothing fancy, just the plain breakfast. I'm sorry, sir, but we stop serving breakfast at 11. Oh, how I hate hearing that, especially when so many restaurants these days offer all-day breakfast. So I address him with, oh, okay, well that's a bit of a letdown. Are you sure the kitchen can't make me some eggs, bacon, and toast? No, sir. I'm afraid they can't. I will try once more before going into malicious compliance mode. Are you absolutely sure there is nothing you can do? No, sir. I do apologize. Now, of course, I've glanced at their menu, and I know what else is on offer. So I then politely ask, can I then have a bacon and egg toasted sandwich? Oh, yes, sir. Of course. Would you like anything else? Bingo. You've activated my trap card. I reply, yes. Can I make a request on how it's prepared? Certainly, sir. How would you like it prepared? Now I smile and say, I don't want the bread toasted in the sandwich press. Can they use the normal toaster instead? Of course, sir. They go hand in the order, but I continue. And while they're at it, please ask them not to put the egg on the toast. Also, don't put the bacon on the toast. I am basically looking for a deconstructed bacon and egg toasted sandwich. Now the penny drops. So, you just want 2 slices of toast on a plate with bacon and eggs. Victory is mine. Yes, that's what I wanted when I came in, but since you don't serve breakfast after 11 o'clock, I have to ask for it this way. Same ingredients in the toasted sandwich, just arranged differently. The poor waiter, defeated but smiling, agrees and goes off to instruct the kitchen. The staff doesn't make the rules, they just follow them. It's up to us to find these loopholes to get what we want. Bonus, Often the toasted sandwich might be cheaper than the actual breakfast, but sometimes not. That's awesome. Like one commenter said, I love how the waiter smiled before going back to the kitchen. It's so true. I've worked in restaurants before too, and we had to enforce some pretty stupid rules, but if we liked the customer, we would kind of give them tips on how to get around those rules. So keep that in mind. Always be nice to your servers and always tip them. This next one's called, Want Me to Cover Up My Tattoos? Sure. You never said what with. Posted by user Virus Overload. Let's set the scene. This was a few years back. I have quite a few tattoos, basically all on my chest, my upper back, top half sleeves, and one on the inside of each forearm, about 15 centimeters across. These last two are what started it all. I worked for a cinema chain for a long time. Always had tattoos. I landed myself a management role, more like a supervisor. The standard uniform was black shirt and black trousers. I prefer a short sleeve shirt due to being a bigger guy and cinemas being bloody hot. My site manager quite liked my tattoos and other quirks that I had. My area manager, however, did not. She would come into the site, walk past 8 other staff with full sleeve tattoos, and make a beeline straight to me, stating that my tattoos need covering up, and I quote, "They're not offensive, just a lot of people just don't like them." Now, my tattoos aren't offensive, they're just patterns. She informed me that I had to wear long sleeves to cover them up, otherwise I would face disciplinary action. I had read the employee handbook a few times because of other petty crap, so I know it was the manager's decision, my site manager, but she decided to overrule it. What she forgot was just because the normal retail staff had to wear black, management were allowed to wear white. Just nobody did because it was hard to keep clean. So, what should I do? I know. Let's go and buy the thinnest, cheapest, most see-through white long-sleeve shirt I can find. Now, if you could only see her face when she came in next, when I'm basically wearing a shirt more see-through than a tracing paper. I'm talking, you can see the color shift from my individual chest hairs, and all my tattoos are on show for everyone to see, while stood behind the tills talking to customers. Needless to say, I got to wear my short sleeve black shirt again after that. Edit. Finish the sentence. Edit 2. Spelling. Well, thank you for that. Yeah, this rule is pretty fucking bullshit because I worked for a very large coffee chain, and I'm just gonna hold this chain, this specific location accountable for this because I don't believe that all locations are this fucking brutal to their employees. But this one that I worked at, they had a thing where the counter staff were responsible for going out and plucking weeds in the parking lot. I'm sorry, for one, I didn't know that being a coffee slinger also entailed weeding, but that's fucking stupid rule number 1. Rule number 2, tattoos are not allowed to be visible. So, this little fairy over here had to wear a long sleeve shirt underneath her short sleeve shirt and go outside in the middle of the fucking boiling hot summer and pluck weeds. Yeah, I quit. I quit that job. That's not... What are they thinking? Like, you could have easily assigned a different task to me. Like, okay. I am so over employers taking advantage of their employees. This is so stupid. Stupid rules like this. This next one's titled, You Want Ice with That Attitude? Posted by user High on Poker. It was finals week, and I had a study group planned at my school's library. I was under the weather at the time and went to the basement cafeteria for a tea. As I entered the library, I had the hot water and tea bag in my hand, separate. The hippie librarian with nothing to do spotted me, stopped me, and asked what was in the cup. Just tea, I offered. For the first time in school year, hippie librarian decided to do his job and flex some muscles. No drinks other than water are allowed in the library. The other drinks might damage the books. I responded politely. No problem. I will just drink the warm water. Showing him that the tea bag was not in the water yet. Problem solved, right? Wrong. This guy had to show who was in charge. No hot water allowed in the library. Cold water only. I stared at him blankly, trying to figure out how to deal with this nonsense, and then walked out the door. A minute later and a short walk to the cafeteria, and I returned to the library with an overflowing handful of melting ice and the same now lukewarm water. I dumped the ice in the cup in front of the hippie, spilling some of it on the floor, held it out to him, and asked if he wanted to check the temperature before I entered the library. This time, he looked on blankly, and I walked in. What? Why? I can't even, form a question with this one. And for the last story of the day, this one is called, You Want Me to Brush My Curly Hair for an Important Meeting? Sure. Posted by user NoNecessary5. I'm already laughing because I have curly hair and I know where this is going. All right, let's get into it. This happened months ago, but coworker recently reminded me about it. Little background. I have very thick curly hair, and as should be obvious, I do not brush my hair when it's dry. That is not a thing you do when you have wavy or curly hair, unless you want your hair to look like a bush. But people don't seem to get it. The company I worked at recently hired a new manager, and while she was doing a relatively good job, she was insufferable. She always made snide comments about people's appearance, what they wear, etc. She even started policing how people dress. She once asked a coworker not to wear suspenders because they were out of fashion, and him wearing them made the company look bad. She always made passing comments about how unprofessional my big curly hair looked and thought maybe brushing would help. It does not. There's no dress code in the office. We can wear whatever we want as long as we look presentable. She also had no authority to police anyone. Anyways, we were preparing for an important meeting with clients that day, and she comes up to me and says that I cannot go in with my hair looking like that. Bear in mind, my hair looked awesome that day, even got a compliment from my boss, and hands me her brush. Ew. And says, go brush your hair. So I did. I went into the meeting with a massive bush on my head. It looked ridiculous, frizzy and unruly, and the opposite of what she wanted. The horrified look on her face was worth the bad hair day. She couldn't help herself, though, and made one of her snide comments in front of everyone. How unprofessional of her. After the meeting ended, my boss came up to me and said while my hair looked awesome, it was unusual for me, and she saw me 10 minutes before looking completely different. I told her what had happened. She was horrified, and apparently no one told her how this new hire was doing this. Glad to say the new manager did not last very long. Oh, my dude, good. That is so awesome, though. Oh, I wish you posted a picture of the before and after. But yeah, man, you rock your curly hair. Just tell everybody to go fuck themselves, or just do what you did and prove your point. Oh, I love it. All right, my dudes, I hope you enjoyed that video. I freaking love this subreddit. Oh my god. I know there's so many other YouTubers that cover malicious compliance, so that's the main reason I tried to stay away from it a little bit more, because I didn't want to become repetitive, and I wanted to make sure that there was fresh content being posted, but sometimes I need to, appease myself, and yeah, a malicious compliance did it for me, so. As always, if you liked the video, smash that like button, hit the subscribe button and the bell notification to be notified when I have future videos just like this so you never miss one. I hate saying that message. You guys, whatever. If you like it, you like it. If you want to subscribe, subscribe. If you don't, I'm not doing this for money, so... But I really do love seeing your comments, so keep them coming. And as always, if you have a story you want me to read, head on over to Reddit, show these users some love. Those links will be in the description. And also, get on over to r/RedditFairy and submit your stories, because you never know, man. It might show up in the next video. So until next time, have a good one, my dudes.